Like Becky stole my thunder for during her presentation, but would you all stand up, please?
We don't mind.
It is getting close to lunchtime. Get some blood flowing. What I want you to do right now is you're going to move to an area of the room based on the way you would answer in your classroom the prompt that's going to come up in a moment. This back corner is if you are a Jeep Trail. Okay? So for you in your practice, the answer to this question that you're going to see in a moment is never. Okay? In this corner over here, you're a dirt road. Okay? Sometimes you do that. This corner over here, if you're a freeway. You do it often. This corner here is if you are the yellow brick road. You do it always. Okay? The prompt is that I use pre-assessments to uncover my students' level of prior knowledge. Okay? So, Jeep trails, dirt roads, freeways, yellow brick roads. Please don't do it.
You have such authority now. I thought I want everybody.
Well, it's amazing. We are all yellow brick roads, so we can move on to our next presentation. So the purpose of that was that I wanted to use a pre-assessment to uncover your prior abilities. Okay? Grant Wiggins says that most classroom teachers use this model of instruction and assessment. Okay? We teach, test, and hope for the best. That model is typically based on unit planning that might take place in the summer. I plan 14 days for this unit, 21 days for this unit, 4 days for this unit, and by gum, that's how long we're spending there. Okay? This train is leaving the yard. If you get on, great. If not, maybe we'll see you next year. You can repeat my class if it's the high school teacher. Carol Ann Tomlinson has a very different approach, which looks at it this way. Assessment today is our means of modifying our instruction for tomorrow. This is much more difficult for a classroom teacher. I can't plan in the summer. I literally have to fly the plane while I'm building it. I'm going to assess my students and then plan instruction accordingly. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about some of the advantages of pre-assessment, specifically in using a pre-assessment to uncover students' prior learning. If I had to ask a group of classroom teachers, if I could give you one thing so that you can ensure that more students achieve at higher levels, what would it be?
Fewer kids.
Nancy, what was that?
Time.
Time. Okay. If I could give you more time, everyone struggles with time. One of the things that pre-assessments do is they allow us to steal back time. Imagine if I plan a lesson, again, in an old-fashioned model, the teach, test, and hope for the best model. I'm going to plan this lesson in the summer. I'm going to plan 7 days to teach a unit. And I give a pre-assessment, and I realize that my students' prior knowledge in this area is really high. I don't need 7 days to teach this. I can teach this whole unit to mastery in 3 days. You've just bought back 4 instructional days. Okay? And from a teacher standpoint, that is gold. Okay? So, how many times we've heard people complain about not enough time? Here's a strategy to actually steal back some time. Okay? The other thing is it gives you a lay of the land. Teaching and learning is really a journey. Imagine trying to complete a trip or a journey if you don't know where you are. If I blindfold you and put you out in the middle of the United States somewhere and say, get to Portland, Oregon, what is your chances of getting there? Now we have GPS and those kinds of things, so today we probably could do that pretty well. But if you don't know where you're at, how can you possibly know where you're going? So by pre-assessing your students, you can get a feel for where they're at. Is their level of prior knowledge differentiated? Okay, that gives us some opportunities to enrich the learning for those who are already there, and possibly remediate for those who need some more support. Or maybe my whole class is low in those foundational skills or in that content, and so I'm going to give more time for that. And finally, one of the things that Reuter and Morgan and some other brain researchers tell us is by accessing prior knowledge, we can get students to their level of understanding deeper. And so if you can use some pre-assessments to find out what your students already know, then you can plan your instruction very strategically so that you tie the knowledge to the new content that you're teaching. And then their level of understanding will be deeper. Okay? So the way that I want to wrap this up is that at your tables, okay, will you take just a couple of minutes and talk about some pre-assessment strategies that you use or possibly that you would like to use. Okay, go ahead and do that for a couple of minutes. Gosh, great. Thank you for all of your hard work. That was great. I saw some of you were writing some strategies on Post-it notes. I appreciate that. Could you just put those up on the chart pack up here? It's amazing how one half of the room participates.
What are you guys doing?
Well, I appreciate your work. A couple of ideas here. We have quick writes, anticipation guides, graffiti walls, using the 5 hardest questions, and a strategy called dipstick learning. What we're going to do the next time that we come back is that we're going to focus on those instructional strategies so you can get an idea for what you might use in your classroom and what would work for you. Okay? We'll see you next time.